Hey guys, and welcome back to Philline, a podcast where we talk about what it's like being in our 20s in the 20s. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about dating and why it never ever ends. That's right. Once you get serious, doesn't mean you have to be comfortable, and you gotta still put the effort in and still do things to keep the relationship fire kind of burning, if that makes sense. We'll talk more about it. So let's just get started. And hey, you guys, welcome to another episode of Feeling Philline. Happy end of April. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that April is done. Literally, where has the year gone? It's been so fast. But it's gonna be May. My favorite month, honestly. I love May. I don't know what it is about May, but I guess it's like all the pollen kind of goes away and the beauty of spring finally comes up. I don't know about you guys, but literally my car has turned green. I was working outside the other day and literally for the 30 minutes I was outside, my laptop turned green because of all the pollen, which is ridiculous. There is so much pollen this year, and where I live, there's a lot more trees than how it is, at my family's house and things. So I feel like my allergies are even worse. The past 3 days, I literally have been looking around and everything's swollen as fuck. I can't see anything. But anyways, that's besides the point. I'm just happy that springtime is kind of starting. I mean, this week has been beautiful, but today it's raining. It's gross. It's cloudy, but it's honestly such a good feeling, honestly. I don't know how to explain it, but it's different from when it's dark and gloomy in the wintertime. I kind of like when it rains. In the springtime, at least, it's a lot more calming, more relaxing, and I do feel like I get migraines on rainy days, but anyways, it's just nice, and sometimes it's good to just hear the rain, play some alternative music, play some calm classical music, and just relax, honestly. I feel like I'm gonna do that as soon as I finish recording and editing this episode. But yeah, May is an incredibly big month just for weddings in general and love in general. So why not talk about dating in this episode? It's going to be so full of weddings. I have 2 weddings in May. It's my brother's birthday. It's my 5-year anniversary with my boyfriend. That's crazy to me. And if there's one thing I am at least an expert on, it is noticing the importance of effort and dating and how it never ends, no matter how long you guys have been together. It is so super important, and I'm really excited to talk about it. But I do want to talk about a few things, at least in social media, in the world, in TV right now. India is struggling really bad with COVID, and I feel terrible about it. I feel absolutely terrible looking at the statistics, the healthcare system, just knowing how close everybody is and how my friends here are worried as fuck about their family members in India. It's terrifying. And honestly, I just pray that this second wave, or whatever wave it is, honestly, I don't even know anymore. I pray that it just goes away as soon as possible, because it is such a large country and everybody interacts. It's a big country. So seeing that happen in India, I can't even imagine how it's going in other countries that maybe have it worse as well. But I truly, truly pray for the safety and health of everyone there. And for anyone listening who really is struggling mentally with COVID and struggling just in general, just worrying about family members, just know, I am always there for you if you ever want to talk, even just to get your mind off of things, because I know that mental health these days has not been 100%. It hasn't been since COVID, and it's honestly been bad before COVID, but I can't even imagine how it is now that COVID's here. But if you guys ever need someone to talk to, feel free to reach out, because I will definitely be here for you. And just know that we're all hoping for this to end soon, especially in India, because it's so just very sad. And I just hope it gets better soon. I don't know if you guys can hear, but it is literally pouring right now, and I absolutely love it. I just needed to hear it right now. I needed to just be silent for a quick minute and just hear the rain. Sometimes it is so soothing. And the past week and a half, I have been struggling just mentally, physically. I feel like I've been saying this every episode, but it honestly is such an up and down thing. And I've been struggling to sleep, honestly. And yes, it is due to a lot of exposure to social media and just continuously reading about what's going on in the world in terms of COVID and everything like that. But it's also just a worry about if we're ever going to get out of this constant routine, wake up, repeat the schedule, and sleep and repeat. So I think it's just a lot of that. And I'm trying my best to really understand the root cause behind it. And I don't know, it's definitely tough because there's a lot of factors involved. But I think, again, the main thing is keeping it different sometimes, doing something out of your routine. And just between you and me and my listeners, I just recently went to the doctor because I was genuinely concerned. I had really bad anxiety this week and I was just trying to understand, like, doc, what the hell am I supposed to do? I don't like this feeling. I don't like constantly waking up and feeling like my day is going to be the same thing over and over. And he literally said, he was like, if you even just go out of your normal schedule, like every now and then, to just drive somewhere, even to get coffee instead of having coffee at home, sometimes it helps. And that was a really good point because everything that I used to do outside, I basically do at home now. I even just make coffee at home, and I always vouch for, it's just better to save money, but you got to go treat yourself sometimes. And I definitely haven't done enough of that. I've been constantly working, constantly thinking, running around, going to the gym, and never really taking a minute to just do something different or do something I used to do, like just casually get a cup of coffee. But even that is so different now, because of COVID. I can't even just sit outside. If I could just bring my laptop out there and sit at a Starbucks or something, it would be great. I could just work in a different environment and just be different. You know what I mean? I'm always sitting in my living room and I'm always staring at our huge TV, which, not to brag, yes, I like our TV, but sometimes seeing it every day, 5 times a week, and then sometimes in the weekend when I'm feeling like being lazy and watching more TV, it gets exhausting. And I definitely wanted to kind of tie that into this episode because even in relationships, if you don't keep that fire burning, if you don't keep changing things or doing different things, it is going to become more automatic, more exhausting, kind of feel like a routine, or just you'll get tired of it. And literally everybody gets tired of being in the same routine or being stuck in the same day over and over and over. I mean, there's a bajillion movies about that, repeating the same day over and over, and you get sick of it. But then, even in those movies, after a while, they're like, you know what, screw it. I know tomorrow's going to be the same day, so let's just switch it up and do something different. And I'm not saying go crazy reckless like half of those movies do, but I just truly feel like in general, it's good to just do something different. And I've been struggling with that. Like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'll be really in the rut and just thinking of what I can do. I'll even Google things, what to do in New Jersey. And there's so much to do, and yet I just can't get myself to do it. And I don't know if it's because I'm lacking motivation or I just don't know. And I feel like sometimes I expect everyone around me to want to do things first, if that makes sense. Like, oh, this is nice and all, but I mean, if I ask my friends, they're not going to want to go, or they're not going to make up the free time for it, blah, blah, blah. Or just in general, I just expect sometimes people to give me back the same energy and also think of cool things to do. But at the same time, I think I've said this in previous episodes, people are completely different. I mean, there are people that are 100% content staying at home all weekend or staying inside or just doing everything indoors. And I am just not that type. And that is why this pandemic has been so freaking hard for me. I've been struggling left and right. And don't get me wrong, some days I'm totally okay, but I'm telling you that there's more often than not days where I just feel so stuck and it's crazy. So, anyways, this is kind of tying into our whole dating never ends thing, because not just our personal routines, our personal relationships with ourselves, it also applies to dating relationships as well. Because once you get comfortable, it's very easy to slip out of dating, basically. You get comfortable, you just kind of sit around, and that's great and all, but there are things that sometimes you need to do or can do. You don't need to do it, but you can do to kind of keep that relationship fire burning. And why is that so important? So when people get comfortable, they kind of stop doing what they used to do. Back in the day when you first started talking, oh my God, he opened the doors for me. Oh my God, she washed the dishes after I ate. Next thing you know, it's just super comfortable where you're just basically assuming they're going to do something. And when you're kind of assuming like that, you kind of get lazy, if that makes sense. So let's say she was washing dishes for you. You know what I mean? Like, that's amazing. But all of a sudden now you're like, oh, she's going to wash dishes for me every single time. And next thing you know, you're never washing a dish. Or, things like, oh, he used to get me flowers every now and then he stops getting you flowers. So I am always a voucher for the little things, and the little things absolutely matter. In such a busy life, those little things can mean so much when, your life is so full of stress and you're just so full of all these different things. How great would it be in such a busy day, you come home and there's just flowers for you, or there's just a home cooked meal ready for you, or just warm hugs, or a surprise date night, or just something out of the blue. Those are the best things that honestly just make me so happy every now and then to have, and just randomly see somebody still giving effort after being together for so long. And I know everybody listening kind of agrees too, in long-term relationships, it's very easy to get comfortable, and everyone can agree that after a while you do get comfortable. I get comfortable. He gets comfortable. Everybody gets comfortable at some point, but it's about making that constant effort to keep reminding yourself that, yes, we're happy. Yes, we're together. Yes, we're living this life, but you can do so much more with it. You can continuously keep that fire burning by just doing the little things. A good example, I think, just I've seen like everywhere. So there was this movie, Fireproof, right? And basically, it's kind of a religious movie, but so there's this couple who they were married and they're on the brink of getting divorced because he kind of just stopped caring about her. Like, he was so hung up on work. He was so hung up on just other things. And honestly, it was a really good lesson. I highly suggest it. I mean, it is a little bit religious, don't get me wrong, but honestly, the themes that come out of it really open my eyes to a lot of things. And it's just proof that you can easily lose a relationship no matter how long you've been. You can be together for 25 to 30 years and still have that slight risk of getting divorced or separating because you got so comfortable and you stopped doing the little things. So that's just me trying to tell you not to forget about that. And again, life is so busy. It's so easy to forget it. And it's so easy to just, they're going to be there with me anyways, no matter what I do. So why do I have to do the extra effort or put in the extra work for it? And these are the kind of things that, they're totally normal to think, you know what I mean? They don't make you a bad person. They don't make you a bad significant other. It's just normal to feel like you're already in this relationship. You already caught him. You're already taken. You're already committed to each other. And it doesn't end, honestly. The effort that you have to put into the relationship does not end. And it goes to show, I mean, I'm not even married yet, but I can imagine marriage is that much more of a pressure to put in work, to put in effort, to keep the relationship together, especially when you have other things involved like money, children, pets, personal things, even just personal things. When you're together with somebody, it's already kind of a balance between what you like personally versus what they want to do personally versus time that you want to spend together. So you have to really be aware of the situation, be aware of each other's wants and needs, and kind of go from there. But it's very easy, again, to start doing things that you want to do and then not want to do them with your significant other. And when I say this, I know it's kind of confusing. Let me be kind of more clear on that sentence. It's very easy to get stuck doing things on your own by yourself and then forgetting that you have a whole ass person that you're in a relationship with. And that could be something like watching movies by yourself, watching shows by yourself, playing your music. And then next thing you know, you're kind of going to things on your own, like painting, going rock climbing, going hiking. And all of a sudden, these plans don't feel as lonely without your significant other. And again, don't get me wrong, that self-time is beautiful. It's amazing. But sometimes it's nice to bring your significant other, and it's nice to maybe even consider changing that self-care date to maybe a couple's date. And honestly, sometimes it's very hard to find a day for the two of you to get together. So sometimes you have to just open up, communicate, and say, hey, listen, we haven't done anything in a long time. Can we do something? And the question I always get back is, well, what are we going to do? And I'm going to be like, can you help me figure out that part? Because I didn't get that far. The only thing I thought of was that we haven't done anything in a while different together, so we should do it. And I think COVID has definitely made it harder to do that. There's only so much you can do that's COVID friendly, but there's still so much to do. There's parks to go to. There's outdoor museums. I literally have a museum that's like 15 minutes from me or 20 minutes. My sister went with her boyfriend and I didn't even get to go. It was closer to me. And it's like this outdoor museum garden thing. And it's just so cute. I feel like they really put in the effort at least to go and like see different places. And I've definitely been motivated to do that because truth be told, I've been kind of lazy in that aspect. I will admit, I just expect sometimes my significant other to want to think of new things to do. But like I said, sometimes we aren't on the same energy, and that's totally okay. I have to put my foot forward and kind of say, hey, let's do this. You know what I mean? But the importance of having that date night, it really just grounds couples in general. And in the middle of everything that's going on, I think it's important, to just sit back, do something together, not be on social media, and just really get to know each other again, because you can easily forget who your significant other is if you're so occupied doing everything else. And mind you, while you're growing, so is your significant other. And if you don't spend that quality time together, you'll miss out on little achievements or big achievements, or even just little moments where your significant other is changing and it's a beautiful change. And because you were so busy kind of being comfortable and just not really paying attention to your relationship, you miss out on that accomplishment. And it's such a small victory, but if you miss it, you miss it. The moment's gone. You can't rewind it. You can't take it back. You can't go back in time and really understand that this was something important to your partner. So again, I think that it's just good to take a breather from life in general and just sit together and catch up or do something together and have fun. It really renews the relationship. It keeps you guys grounded, and it just keeps your connection refreshed, if that makes sense. Because again, when you're so busy, you lose connection with people. So that same thing kind of applies to friends, to family. I have close friends that I talk to every single day. And I also have close friends that I really talk to maybe once in a blue moon, but we're still close and all. But that connection's still there. Don't get me wrong, but I missed out on a lot of their life because life gets busy. And that's totally normal when it comes to friends. But if you guys are in a serious relationship and even living together, that's even worse. You know what I mean? You can't have that kind of distance between each other because you're going to see each other every day. You're going to do everything together. And it's different. You know what I mean? It's very different from friendships. And when I say that, it's because this relationship is something that you're going to be around forever. It's something that you're going to invest pretty much all of your time and money into. And to be in it with somebody that you don't truly know or you've truly lost connection with because you're not making time to spend together, that's the worst feeling ever. And honestly, people don't even realize that they've lost their connection because they're so busy thinking about other things, doing other things, and putting their time in other things that they forget that, you know, their partner has some serious feelings and serious connections that they really want to have. So yeah, that's just another reason why date nights are just so important. And another reason behind why even in long-term relationships, these dates or time together is important is just affection in general. For people who are listening in long-term relationships, I am sure that you guys can agree that after a long time, the affection kind of goes down and you're not as cuddly anymore. You're not as affectionate. And that's just because, again, it's about getting comfortable with each other. It's very easy to start acting like best friends versus lovers or husband and wife because it's just less work. To be blunt about it, it's just less work. You know, you don't have to make that extra effort to lean over and kiss somebody. You don't have to make the extra effort to, you know, go out there, buy some flowers. It just all seems like a lot of work, but you have to constantly remind yourself that this person is worth it. It's about the little things. I always vouch for that. And that's why you have to go on dates. You have to do something different. Leave the apartment. Honestly, on Fridays, I'm such a bum. I literally stay at home. I'm trying my best to at least do a little bit something outside the house, at least during the weekend, to do anything, whether it's bring Leo to the dog park, you know, go to a bar or something, or go to my friend's house, or just something outside the apartment because, especially because of COVID, we're so pent up inside that sometimes it's just the most comfortable thing to do. You know, why not stay inside? We've been doing it all week, or it's just comfortable. You know, you don't want to dress up. You don't want to look nice. You don't want to change out of your sweatpants and actually dress up and put on makeup and go somewhere. But it's important to go on these dates and kind of let your partner know that, hey, I'm still attracted to you and I still appreciate everything that, you know, you do for me. So it's just a matter of spending quality time and also just rekindling things between you guys. And there may be some things that you didn't even know were happening with your partner, or just mentally how your partner is. I mean, having a quick 30-minute dinner conversation is nice and everything, but to really just not have to worry about the next thing and just go on a date and just put social media away, put your phone away, put work away, put stress away, and just really be in the moment with your partner. It's so important, and it really is something that keeps the relationship fresh and happy. So what I try to do, or at least what I am practicing to do, is to have a regular date night. So there was something I read on Twitter or Instagram. I really forget what it is, but it's like once a week you should go on a date night, whether it's a dinner or something. And then, you know, every month or so, do something a little bit different, like bowling or rock climbing or hiking. And then maybe every 2 or 3 months, do something overnight. And definitely, you know, money can be a big factor in this situation, but I try at least to go on weekly date nights. And my favorite date night is to go to all you can eat sushi. Duh. Of course. Why would I go anywhere else but all you can eat sushi? But it's still a good time, you know, to just be outside for a few hours. It's an escape from everything. We're juggling so much during the week and even that. But then, if you go every week to the same place or every week going to a restaurant, it also gets a little autonomous. It gets a little robotic. It gets a little, repetitive. So that's why every now and then it's good to also switch it up. Do something you haven't done before. And I always am a supporter for doing things that's a little active, actually, It builds a good competition between you two, and even competition can keep that fire burning in your relationship. Do not get me wrong. That used to be one of my favorite date nights when me and Marcos first started talking. We were always going to arcades or Topgolf or, going to Dave and Buster's or just in general, just doing things that were slightly competitive, and it just makes you guys have a fun time, be, competitive in a fun way and keep you guys laughing and really just, even if you're annoyed with each other, that's a perfect idea for a date night. If you guys are arguing, do something that requires competition. Literally go to a rock climbing place and have a rock climbing race, or go to Dave and Buster's and try to see who can get the most points at like the basketball hoop thingy-majiggy, or even just going bowling. Do something competitive because, hey, you'll be able to release some of that annoyed energy and actually have a good time and actually realize that whatever you were annoyed with, it's totally not worth it because you love the person that you're spending this time with. So it's, again, romance, quality time, connections, communication. Dates are so super important to me. That's why I truly feel like even in our 20s, when life is just starting, it is so important to go on dates and really continuously get to know each other. So we're just about to reach the halfway point, and I'm going to play this ad for you, and Philline will be right back. Honestly, I'm hungry, you guys. Do you ever just crave authentic Indian food? I know I do, especially being at home so much. If you live in the Plainsboro area in New Jersey, Jaya's Kitchen has the hookup. Jaya's Kitchen is completely made from scratch, specializing in Andhra cuisines. Like, no joke, I had the best shrimp masala and coconut rice I've ever had. It's just so delicious, and you can have it for any meal of the day. It's perfect for dinner or even a small family event. So if you want to have any inquiries on any orders, you can hit up Jaya's Kitchen on Instagram at JAYASKITCHN. Again, it's JAYASKITCHN. Go ahead, try it out and enjoy it. It won't disappoint, I promise. And we're back. Thanks, you guys, for keeping up and staying on. So let's kind of get back to the topic of dating and why we have to keep that important, especially in long-term relationships. I mean, come on. And when you guys start talking, it's very easy to go on dates. I don't even need to talk about when you're first talking why it's important to go on dates, because obviously you're going to want to go on dates. You're going to want to get to know somebody. But it's almost like at a certain point, everybody thinks that they know 100% about their partner. After a certain time, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 3 years, maybe it's 5 years. After a certain point, they're like, yeah, well, I already know everything and anything about them, and why do I have to do all this? And a major excuse about why people don't go on dates is that they're exhausted. After a long work week, nobody wants to get up and go anywhere. They just want to sit in front of the TV. And that's a very easy habit to fall into, which is totally normal. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's just something to continuously put effort in. And yes, you're exhausted, but going on a date is not supposed to be exhausting. It's supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be renewing, refreshing. It's supposed to be something that will get you out of that exhaustion. You kind of have to look at it in that way. If you're thinking, doing this is so exhausting, I really don't want to go on this date, it's so much work. That already puts you in a mindset that, you don't want to have fun. You're not going to look like you're having fun. And your significant other kind of gets hurt in the process. So if you just think about dates as something different in terms of a way to grow together, communicate, have fun, make memories, it's a lot more enjoyable versus somebody who just thinks it's a lot of work, especially after a tiring week and you're already thinking about Monday or the next day that you're going to start work. Which kind of brings me to another reason why sometimes date nights aren't really completed by couples. And it's a lot of because neither one of them wants to plan something. And again, you kind of have to change how you look at it. You know what I mean? Instead of it being a lot of work for you or exhausting or it just seems like so much brain work, try to think of it as somebody like a friend. You would be super excited to make plans with a friend. Why is it so hard for you to feel the same way, especially about your partner who you supposedly want to spend the rest of your life with? You know what I mean? There's just things like that. You know, if you can get super excited planning things with your friends, like a trip or, you know, to hang out or something, it should be the same energy, if not more, especially for somebody who's that important in your life. You know, it's not just a relationship you're in, it's also a friendship. It's a lot of both romance and the friendship that you want to keep the fire going. It's not just, okay, you have this house together, you're paying bills together, you're working as a team together. It's, are you guys enjoying your time together? Are you making it fun? Are you doing things out of the box, doing things out of your comfort zone that really just keeps you guys alive? Or is it just every day is the same damn boring routine? It gets super boring. I definitely have experienced this before in the past. It just gets boring. You want to do different things, and I'm not saying that you have to fly to Cancun, you have to fly to the Philippines, go on a whole ass trip to South Africa. There are so many local things that you can do that are different from your normal routine. It's anything that doesn't have to do with your normal everyday things, whether it's work, your children, your pets, you know, waking up in the same bed, you know what I mean? It's sometimes just cool to get an Airbnb, go to Philly or something, or, you know, the nearest big city near you. But even that's super refreshing. And people definitely overthink that. They think that it has to be something glamorous. It has to be something big, something extreme. No, that is literally not the case. You guys remember, your first dates weren't extreme. You guys didn't travel to Japan, Korea, Tokyo, Philippines. Like, you didn't go on a high-speed jet plane to go fly somewhere. It was going to the movies, which isn't so easy nowadays because of COVID, but it was getting ice cream. It was going to the mall. It was going to the park, having a picnic, even having a picnic. I even admit personally, I don't do that often anymore. I don't get ice cream anymore. All the things that I used to do as a date night, we really don't do anymore. And honestly, think about it. If you guys are really listening, you know, ask yourself, what is something that we haven't done in a long time? What did we do when we first started dating? You know, what were the common things we used to do? And it'll click to you that, damn, maybe we should do more of that stuff, and maybe realize that you really haven't been doing that much and just being comfortable and just kind of going through your everyday routine. So that again will be something to really wake someone up. But another thing that is something to realize too, you know, if you guys haven't had a date night in a while or really just aren't making the efforts for it, there's definitely something there, you know what I mean? There's something between you guys that maybe is causing this kind of avoidance of wanting to spend time alone or quality time together. And already that should be something to think about, because if you go on a date, obviously you're exposed to having to express your feelings, talk about things that are not just normal everyday things. And again, that's so much to think about. If you really are avoiding this person, there's a deeper problem there. And it's something still to have a communication about it, to go on a date night and talk about it. These are the opportunities to really not be distracted by everything going on around you and really just talk with each other. It's kind of like being with your friends. You got to think about it when you guys go out to dinner or something. Let's say somebody you personally know for a long time and have deep conversations with. It's practically the same thing. And I feel like people are more scared about it, especially because it is a significant other, when truth be told, these are the people that you should be talking to in the most transparent way, more than how you talk to your friends. If you feel comfortable being transparent with your closest friends, your significant other at this point, especially in a long-term relationship, should be, again, getting that same energy, if not more, because this is somebody who sees every single side of you more than your best friend. This is the one who's going to see you go through life, every waking moment of it. And that's why these date nights are so important, because you want to practice early, especially in our 20s right now, the importance of making the time for each other. And oftentimes it gets lost as we get older. We forget that we really should be making time for each other. So constantly I think about it, that sometimes that is how most relationships will get fixed. If they just had the time to really talk to each other and kind of renew the fire and kind of just go back to how they were when they were first talking to each other, they'll realize again why they fell for each other. And it's kind of like going back to where you had your first date. It brings back really good memories. It's like somebody listening to a song that reminded you of a really good memory. Like, for example, maybe you were driving with your friends somewhere and you play the same song with your friends, and of course they're going to sing along. It's just going to bring a very good and positive vibe. And that's what I feel like is so important about date nights, because it brings back that vibe, that connection, and the reasons why you kind of were together in the first place. So that's why I always think that date nights are super important, no matter how long you've been together. I even tell my parents, because they've been together for as long as how old I am, because yes, they pretty much had me like shortly after, but I always tell them, you guys should go on a date night or at least spend some time together. And I mean, luckily for them, I moved out. My sister is not really home that much anymore, and my brother stays in his room playing video games. So basically they're having date night, but even so, that's still not a truly definite date. It's really just doing something that requires a little bit more effort than what you normally bring in every day. It's just going to a restaurant together. It's just even that little effort of dressing up and looking nice for each other and just being able to have an open conversation anywhere else but in the house. It's just renewing, relaxing, and refreshing, honestly. And truthfully, a lot of people in long-term relationships kind of get stressed, or they miss kind of the earlier days where they were able to basically do whatever they want, and miss the thrill of life, when you're first talking, or just in general when you were kind of not single, but just like talking, and kind of that new, refresh energy of a spark or something new about to happen. And I feel like that's why sometimes people just get uncomfortable in their long-term relationships, because they are always looking back at those times that don't happen anymore. Okay, great. They don't happen anymore. So why not try to make it happen again? You can still kind of bring back that vibe, and all you need is to just go on a date and do something different together. And anybody who's struggling right now in their long-term relationship, I highly suggest to give it a try, because you'll surprise yourself. I think that just by having a few hours of time together, you'll really surprise yourself that, you still want to be in this relationship. You just haven't had the time to invest in it. And again, that's totally normal. Life gets so busy. It's very hard to keep track of everything. Okay, so I'm kind of Googling something because it was bothering me with that thing that I read from social media. So it's called the 2-2-2 rule. It goes like this. So every 2 weeks, you go out for the evening. Every 2 months, you go out for the weekend. Every 2 years, you go out for a week. And that sounds crazy. Like everyone's going to be like, oh my God, every 2 years, you go for a week. It's not that hard. You guys can definitely make the time for it. You put the effort for it. And I go out for the evening every week. I mean, evening could be just a dinner date, but to know that I at least do that comforts me, because at least I'm kind of in the right direction of, putting more effort in relationships. And I try to be aware when I'm being too comfortable. And I think it's important, again, to have active thinking, active awareness of just what's going on in your relationship. You can't be complacent. You can't just accept that this is how it is and be comfortable with it. You want to constantly push, challenge, reignite your relationship. And, when I say do something out of your comfort zone, for ladies that are listening, if your man wants to do something, if your significant other is very active, doesn't even have to be a guy, whatever, your significant other, they're just more active and you're not. Why not challenge yourself? That even builds you as a person, as a character. Do something active, something that you normally don't do, go to fucking axe throwing or some shit. Do something that you normally wouldn't like, but for the sake of making your significant other a little bit more cheerful, joyful, and appreciative of you, do something that they would love. And that in itself already is a lot of effort, and your significant other will see that. They will notice that. And for somebody whose partner is, let's say, a little bit more feminine, go on a spa date, go to the spa, get your nails done, get massages, go relax and take a picnic, just lay out in the sun. If somebody's who's more chill, go to a park and just sit there and have a picnic. There's already so much effort and thought and consideration taken into when you are already doing something that your partner would like, even though you personally aren't that much of a fan. But because you want to rekindle this relationship, you're willing to go to that measure. You want to show your partner that, yes, I may not enjoy doing this, but I'm with you. And so it's tolerable. I can handle it. It's actually kind of nice because we're spending this time together. And believe it or not, sometimes you might even find that you like it. For example, well, it wasn't a date, but I went axe throwing and I didn't know I was going to like it. I was petrified. I don't like axes or anything sharp, but it was actually super fun. And I actually had a good time because me and my friend Gabby, we were basically competing, against each other. And I ended up winning, not to brag, but magically I was doing so well. And it's actually just so fun. And I thought about, wow, that would be an amazing date night, because if you guys are frustrated with each other, I always think that. And I always tell my friends when they're arguing, or besides the fact that they have to talk about it, I always read on this that it is super insightful to go and do something competitive, because it brings out your emotions, but you're also taking it out in a healthy way. So men, I feel like, are definitely more inclined to want to do something active or competitive. Of course, they're going to want to go to the tulip farm with you. They're going to want to go on a picnic or garden or apple picking, whatever. But they do like to get a little active, get their heart racing a little bit. So an arcade is super fun for that. Bowling, Topgolf, it's super just more involved, and you get to be silly. There were so many times I was at Topgolf and fucking let go of the golf stick and it flew, or like the ball just barely made it over, and it was the stupidest thing ever. But it's funny. You guys get to laugh at just nonsense, and it'll make you feel like a kid again. And serious relationships, you're expecting to be a little bit older and just missing out on younger days. It's good to kind of just go on a date and act like little kids again. Even just going to an arcade or a park, it's just nice to not have responsibilities. And I think, again, that's what date nights are about. That's what they do for relationships. They build you again together as friends, as kids, as young in heart couples. It really brings out the child in you. It brings out the childish happiness and joy that's always inside you. You could be 50, you could be 45, you could be 30. There's always a piece of that 2-year-old, that 5-year-old, that 7-year-old inside you. You just gotta bring them out sometimes. They are still there. They're still a part of you, and they always will be. You just have to continuously make the effort to do so. And last but not least, in this COVID lifestyle and this constant monotonous routine week and life, and every day is the same because, you can't really go anywhere. It gives you something different to look forward to. My doctor, when I went to the appointment today, he basically was like, switch it up and do something, not just with my relationship, but just in general. And this was kind of directing towards my anxiety, because when things kind of get routine, like I get super, not bored, but I guess in my head, and my anxiety really gets the best of me. And he honestly was like, you need to do something that you're going to look forward to. And I get that, because before our 20s, before we really get serious adulting, the things we had in college and high school, childhood, basically, every day was different. And it was because we always had something to look forward to. Every day was always something to look forward to. You had homework due next week. You had an exam in 2 weeks. Okay, that's done. Now something else is due. And now that we've graduated, there's literally nothing that's due, if that makes sense. You're not due for a wedding in 2 years. You're not due for children in 5 years. There was literally no deadline, nobody pressuring you. There's no pressure for anything. And I think that really messes me up mentally, because I always need a schedule or some deadline. And maybe that's why I'm so anxious. I'm still, again, looking for that kind of root cause behind it. But that's what our life is now after graduating. There's not really any deadlines unless you're taking your master's again, but there's no deadline that says you need to have kids by 2024. You need to be married by 2022. And I think that's what scares me, at least. I don't know about you guys, but that's what scares me and actually kind of freaks me out a little bit, because there's really nobody telling me I can need to have kids or something. It does scare me, and I know you can tell by how I'm speaking. It does freak me out. And I wish God would just come down and be like, listen, you need to have kids by the next 2 years. You need to be married by blah, 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 blah. And just give me all the deadlines. Give me all the things that are due, and I will definitely get them done. I will do the work for it, literally. Like, if you're going to tell me I need to get a house in 5 years, I will do the work. But again, I think that's why I have so many issues saving. I have so many issues, like, really putting in the effort to save up, because there is nobody telling me I need to get it done by a certain time. And I don't know where I was going with this tangent, but that just kind of ties into the fact that, having something to look forward to, again, will motivate you to do your best during the week, because at the end of the week, you and Bae, or you're going to have to go somewhere and do something fun. All this stress this week is going to be worth it, because you're going to be able to spend it with the one that you love at the end of the week, and it's just going to be you two, and it's just going to be nice and relaxing. And during everything that you do that week, it'll always be in the back of your head that you guys are going to have that time together, and you're going to be excited. And everything that you do, you put your heart and soul into it. It'll make your days more exciting. It'll make your work days a little bit more worth it, to put your whole heart and soul into it. So that is my 2 cents on date nights and why it's so important. And I truly think this stretches out to friendships, to keep friendships alive, because again, it's not just applicable to relationships. It's also just applicable to friendships in general. Everyone around you, your family members. It's always about a constant effort to want to hang out, want to spend quality time together, and not be on social media. And you'll be amazed that your friendships and your relationships and connections will really strengthen just by even doing that one thing, putting aside a few hours every 2 weeks, putting aside a weekend every 2 months, putting aside a week every 2 years. That is 100% doable. Every employee at least has 10 days of vacation days. I don't know. The least I had was 10 vacation days, but that's besides the point. You can always make the time. It's just about putting that foot forward and making the time for it. So yeah, I hope this motivates you. And if you guys have any cool date ideas in New Jersey, please let me know. I run out of ideas all the time. I can't think of anything. And I know New Jersey, bitch, I haven't even been to all of New Jersey. I know that. So I know there's more than just what I've been doing these days in little old Princeton / Plainsboro / East Windsor, just going to the gym basically. So I know there's more. So let me know. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I'm truly grateful that you guys listen to me still. I know that these podcasts are such a great way for me to let out my feelings, to rant, just talk about life, and really not be in my head all the time. And I'm truly grateful for everyone listening. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, and want to be in my podcast, reach out to me because I would love to have you here as a guest. So my TikTok and Instagram are at Philline Podcast, and my Twitter is at Philline. Don't be a stranger. And that's it for now. Till next time. Bye.